official, we're finally on the boat.
How do you like our new home?
Obviously this isn't our home, and we aren't even at the boat right now.
Nope.
Spent a couple days moving onto the boat, and we officially moved on board. We're finally living on the boat, and then we had to move everything onto the boat so we could figure out how much we could fit. And then we made a cross-country trip down to Mississippi to go store everything else at family's house. So now we're down here in Mississippi, and we got everything unloaded. We're kind of settled in with all that, and now we also brought along the dinghy. This is the dinghy for the boat, and working on it. Figure while we're away and have some downtime, make sure that we have something to work on that's productive to the boat.
Yep, so we moved onto the boat, and then we promptly left the boat to go drive really, really far away from the boat.
Yeah, that was a long day too. Yeah, we did it all in one drive, and it was a good drive.
Yeah, we weren't planning to do it in one drive, but we also weren't really planning to stop, which is one of those game day decisions. You don't want to stop when you're 2 hours away.
No. Yep. So we just kept on trucking and made it all the way through. So
why don't you tell them a little bit about this dinghy? Because this dinghy has an interesting recent history and older history.
Yeah, this dinghy's been in the family for quite a while. So it's actually 1988 is the year of the dinghy. I looked up the model number on it, and that's whenever it was made. So 1988, it's actually a dinghy that sailed across the Atlantic Ocean twice already, because it was kind of brought along as a car for my older brother, who was a teenager at that point, and my parents wanted to give him some freedom. So it's been around for a while. As of right now, I'm actually making some chaps, because we used it the past 2 seasons with the boat, and of course it's got a nice black rub rail here that anytime it bumps into the boat, it leaves a black mark on the boat.
And the black mark is absolutely impossible to clean off. So yeah, it was nice to paint the boat because it hadn't been painted for quite a long time, but the real reason why we absolutely decided it had to happen was because we had a whole bunch of black marks all over, up and down the sides of the boat. And yeah, it looked pretty bad, and it didn't really look like we were taking care of our boat, even though we were, because of the fact that we couldn't actually clean it when we did clean it. It still looked like a mess. So, new paint. Back to you and your dinghy chaps.
Yeah,
So, quickly though, tell the people what dinghy chaps are and what's the purpose of a dinghy, because I'm pretty sure people are laughing at the sound of that name right now.
Yeah, that's very true. So dinghy, it's essentially, some people call them tenders, some people call them dinghies, but it's basically a smaller boat that you can use, because if you're not going to be docking or right up against shore where you can just walk off the boat, it's a good way to be able to leave your boat to go back to shore and be able to wander around and everything else. Gives you freedom. Moves a little bit faster than our boat does, because it's got an 8 horsepower engine that'll go on the back of it. So
A lot faster.
A lot faster.
A lot faster.
Yeah.
So it's our car.
Yeah, basically our car to keep us mobile while we're moving our home around. So, but yeah, so that's what a dinghy is. So these are the dinghy chaps here. This was actually my first sewing project on the boat. I've now made probably 7 or 8 different things, sewn 7 or 8 different things for the boat. It's been a busy winter, but it's been good. This was the first one, and it was the probably most complicated one that I've done so far. And it's essentially a marine grade fabric, a nice robust fabric that'll hold up over the years into the sunlight and everything else. And they're made so that they'll just kind of cover the entire top section of the dinghy. So it's essentially everything that you're going to be able to see on the dinghy, and give some protection so that the rub rail doesn't bounce up against it. And then also the 1988 dinghy, that's I guess 34 years old, something like that. Pretty old, and it looks a little rough. It's got the red color that's faded over the years and everything else, and these spruce it up and make it look like a much newer dinghy. All in all, it's in good shape. Sometimes you have issues with dinghies deflating,
but we haven't really had an issue with it losing air. But we do always make sure to top it off with a little air every couple of days, just because the temperature changes and everything, the air changes size, so you want to make sure you have enough air. So why didn't we just get a newer dinghy? Why did we keep this older dinghy? I don't want to say ancient, since the decade we were born in.
Yeah, that is true. So it kind of depends. So part of it was sentimental value. Also, I mean, it's a good dinghy. It's still in good shape. All the joints and everything else are holding up. So it was kind of like, do we spend several grand on a dinghy that we don't necessarily need to be brand new, or do we just make this one work and just fixed the few issues that we had with it. So
and make it beautiful with this.
yeah, making it look nice with this. So went through all the color selections and picked out a color that I think we both like.
Yeah, a nice neutral that we're not gonna get sick of, and we'll look different than all the other dinghies because we're rocking an older vintage dinghy. But also another reason to not get a new dinghy when this one's working perfectly well, except showing its age, is the fact that dinghies are like the most stolen thing from boats and docks. So if this were to ever get stolen, it's a lot less painful than having just bought a brand new one that's stolen. Also, if you steal this one, we'll know it's ours and you need to give it back. Nobody else is still rocking this.
Yep, very, very true. So, but yeah, so we figured we'd bring the dinghy along, bring the chaps along so I could finish up the last few things. These have been made since probably November time frame, I think of December when I finished it up. So they've been around for a while, but there's a few little things that I needed to finish up once the dinghy was blown up. So we brought it along so I could finish that up, and now I've got the time to be able to sit down and do it because we're not at the boat and it's not consuming all of our time like it normally is. So.
The boat's still consuming a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's nice to finally have actually gotten to pack all of our stuff up again, because we moved it out of the house into a storage unit, but to have moved it into a truck and gotten it down here because it's just been looming in the back of our minds because we're constantly working on the boat, and when are we going to have time to drive down across the country for a couple of days to drop it off. So it's been a huge relief to have finally done that and gotten it over with, and now we can actually get to spend some time with some family and friends that we don't get to see that much, especially in the last couple of years, not having been able to travel a lot with everything going on. So it's been a big relief, and it's been a nice type of break, even though we're clearly still bringing projects along with us.
Yeah, it's work no matter what, but yeah, it's a big relief. We're definitely happy to have it out of the way, and now, you know, basically we're going to be able to spend some time with family and friends, like she said. We've got a couple of sailing trips that we're going to take some people out, and then we've also got a few shakeout cruises as we make all these upgrades to the boat. We got to make sure that everything's in ship shape and that it's all working great before we set sail and wander off into the big blue sea. So we've got a couple more weeks left, and then we're going to be out of here pretty soon.
So pretty soon. But you can never just say what date you're leaving because a lot of it depends on safety and the weather. You can't leave if the weather's wrong. You can't leave if something's not right with your boat. So we're not picking a hard date, and we shouldn't pick a hard date because it's not safe. So we're gonna leave, when the time is right and we've gotten everything together and set and safe and the weather's right. Sort of like what happened with this move and bringing everything down to Mississippi. We didn't plan it out ahead of time. It was actually a less than 48-hour game day decision type of deal one evening, going, maybe we should move the stuff down to Mississippi, booking the moving truck, and less than 48 hours leaving and being in Mississippi pretty much. So.
That does tend to be the way that we do those big major events like that. So.
Yeah, a little spontaneity with the timing, but we know what's happening.
Life's been plenty busy lately getting everything ready. We're got a big step out of the way that's going to get us to the point where we can finally go off and sail, which obviously is the goal. So we're very excited to get out there and be able to finally see the world and go sailing and get back to the past 2 years of essentially sailing 2 times a week and getting out all the time. We haven't been able to do that. So.
At all.
Not at all. So.
At all. Like,
no.
This is not like us. We're normally sailing constantly.
Yeah, it's been driving us crazy. So we're getting closer. This was a huge step in getting us to that point, so we're very excited.
Thanks for joining us for this video. We hope that you'll come along with us on the journey, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. We're going to end up closing it here because the cicadas are getting fierce and fire ants are starting to crawl from my leg. So we'll see you in the next video.